Alright, so this is going to be a different video than usual, but still good. So, if you guys didn't know, I do have a website, JTgatoring.com. You can find a lot on there, and every time I do a video, I'm going to try to do an article with that video, because I want to start going more towards outdoor gear reviews, things that I use every weekend when I go fishing or when I go hunting. So this video is going to be about alligator hunting in Florida. This is the Fwc site. To find the page that I was just on, go to hunting, alligator, and this is the statewide alligator harvesting program. This is where you can find all the news and anything that you need to find about alligator hunting in Florida. This video is just going to be about how people hunt alligators in Florida. And with this, you can be someone who actually wants to hunt or someone who is just interested in it, wants to know a little bit about it. So we're going to go to the 2017 guide to alligator hunting in Florida. That'll bring us to this. This is everything you need to know about alligator hunting in Florida. It tells you all the different hunting areas, where you can hunt, how you can hunt, how many different tags are there for every county or specific harvesting period. It tells you the hunting phases and all that fun stuff. Now on my website, I went ahead and did an article on this. This is how I normally do alligator season, and it explains it a little bit more personal than how the Fwc's guide does. The Fwc guide is great if you are looking for legal information where you need to know the law about it, and it tells you what you can and can't do. The guide that I wrote makes it a little bit more personal, what works for me, what I see other people doing, and the equipment and things that I use. So read both if you're interested in it. But on my website, this is the article, and I'm just going to go over it real quick just to make a quick video on it. Alright, so to start off, it's just about information and safety. So in Florida there is 1.3 million alligators. There's a lot of alligators. So the FWC tries to control that. And when they do that, they do this, what I call an alligator lotto. They have to control the amount of alligators taken. The alligator is classified as a similarity of appearance to a threatened taxon. So in short, the alligator is federally protected because it looks too similar to the crocodiles and caiman that are endangered in Florida. South Florida is the only place where you will find an American alligator and an American crocodile coexisting in the wild. So to keep everything in check, they do this alligator lotto. They do a survey to see how many alligators are in each area, and they allot a certain amount of tags or permits to that area. There's two different areas. You can do county-wide areas or specific harvesting units. For the registration to apply, it's free. If you're a resident, it's $275 to get a tag or a permit, which gives you 2 tags, so you get 2 alligators. Or if you're a non-resident, it's $1,000 and some change. There is 4 harvesting periods and then 1 makeup phase. So your tag will be good for one of these harvesting periods. If you don't fill that period, there's a makeup phase where you can fill your tags, but everybody can go and fill their tags on that makeup period. You can hunt from 5 at night till 10 in the morning. Your harvesting period is only good for 1 week, and that is how long your specific harvesting period is. Now for harvesting equipment, the main thing is that you can't use a firearm. You can't use a gun. The only type of firearm that you can use is a bang stick. The methods that I like to use is using a snag hook, a harpoon, and that normally does it fairly good for us. Sometimes we'll use the crossbow. That helps put the alligator out real quick. And then of course we use the bang stick to put it out and dispatch it. So I'll tell you how it normally goes, the tactics and strategies that we use. So the first one is spot and stalk. So this is pretty straightforward. You see an alligator, you go to it. There's a little bit of strategy doing it, and we'll get into that a little later. So with the spot and stalk, if you're doing it late at night, you're going to have to use a spotlight. But if you do it before it gets dark out, then you can use binoculars and see if you can find them. So the majority of the time you're going to be at night. You're going to want to use a spotlight. The eyes will reflect. Now when you shine the whole coast or a grass line, you'll see a lot of eyes. That can be a combination of frogs, other animals, spiders. There's a whole lot of things that reflect. So what I try to do is target eyes that are out in the center of the lake or eyes that are actually moving. And that way you have a 95% guarantee that it is an alligator. Sometimes you can tell a difference in the color of the eyes. Sometimes you'll see a yellowish tinge to it, and I found those to normally be frogs. But some people don't see it and some people do. And at night with a spotlight, it is almost impossible to size an alligator unless it's looking straight at you. If it's looking straight at you, you can see both of the eyes. Put a distance in between the eyes and you can normally tell how big an alligator is, but it still has to be fairly close. So you spot your alligator either through the binoculars or through the spotlight. So now you got to get up close to it. You normally want to use a trolling motor. Some of the 4-strokes are quiet enough to do it, but even sometimes my trolling motor is too loud and you'll be playing a cat and mouse game all day long, all night long, and it'll wear you out, especially your batteries. Now when you see this alligator, you don't want to go straight towards it. You don't want to act like you're hunting for alligators because the alligators are onto you and it's not good. You want to act like you're just fishing, don't bother them. You just want to go another way, don't go straight to that alligator. I just like to follow the shoreline nice and slow and just try to see how close I can get to that gator before it starts swimming faster or goes under or turns. You'll be able to tell by the alligator's movements. And in most cases, the alligator always goes down under the water. And when it goes down under the water, there's normally 2 different things that it does. And I say that when you look at the head that goes down underwater, if it's like sunset or sunrise, it's just you can see the alligator when it goes down, whether it be through your binoculars or if you're close enough to actually look at it. If the base of the head goes down first and the nose is the last part that enters the water, that alligator most likely just sunk to the bottom. It just went straight down to the bottom. It's just going to wait there for you to just go by and leave it alone. When this happens, you want to go by it like you're just fishing, not minding about that alligator, and then come back and try to get as close as you can to that alligator without casting a shadow over that alligator. So when that alligator pops up, you can use, if you're close enough, you can use a bow if you want, or you just use your snag hook on your snag rod, cast over it and snag it. That's how we normally do it. Now another way that it goes down is if the whole head goes down evenly. If the whole head goes down evenly or it splashes or it's just a quick movement, that alligator most likely caught onto you and it's going to start swimming away. And those alligators are fast. I've had them outswim my boat. When I have the trolling motor on, you actually have to turn the big motor on and start following them or try to gauge where they're going. With the alligators that we spot, we sort of know them. We know their areas where they like to stay, where they bed. So we can normally cut them off and keep them out in the open water. So when you get your alligator, you got to find where it sleeps, where it eats. You got to know that alligator pretty good. So when you do get that opportunity of casting on that alligator, you want to cast straight over your head. You want to face your body towards it, use both hands if you'd like, and just cast right over your head. Don't do a side cast or anything because with those weighted treble hooks, it does not fare well. So go ahead, cast straight over your head, cast as far as you can over that alligator. Of course, if it's not that far away, you don't want to cast 2 times the distance past it, but you definitely want to make sure you get over that alligator. It's embarrassing when it lands straight on top of that alligator or just short, and it's not a good feeling. So when you cast over it, reel, and when you get it on that alligator, don't try to do a hook set, just try to reel down, put pressure on it, and just get it tight and do a nice pull. Don't try to do a quick snag or anything. You just want to reel down and give it a nice pull. So that's the first method. The second method is actually baiting an alligator. In Florida, if you're doing this hunt, you won't be using a hook. The nuisance trappers can use a hook, but for hunting purposes during this part of the season, you can only use a baited peg, a wooden peg. This I don't really use too often. I've never had to, but I'll go over it of how I do it and what I could most likely change to do a little better with it. Now, the only time that you bait for an alligator is if you know where exactly it is. You don't want to just go out in a lake and go bait. You'll be waiting there forever. You want to know where an alligator stays, where it's at, and the path that it normally travels, so that way you know where to hang it and where that alligator will come across it. Another thing to think about when you're hanging it is that there are birds, raccoons, other animals trying to get to that bait too if it's hanging for a little bit. I've had vultures jump on top of the branch and jump up and down on the tree limb to try and knock it into the water. If it's hanging right above the water under a tree limb, they can't dive in and swoop and get it. So just make sure you keep that in mind when you hang your bait. Now when I hang the bait, I use a clothespin and a zip tie. I zip tie that clothespin to a branch, and then I hang my line over that clothespin or wrap it around a tree limb that'll break once the alligator puts pressure on it. Now I put the bait about 18 inches above the water. You gotta think about the size of the gator and the head that comes out of the water. 18 inches is a little low, but I just want to make sure that the alligator doesn't have to work too hard. And normally if it's a big alligator, there won't be too many small ones around it. Now, I use 550 paracord. I've had an alligator take the bait once with the 550 paracord, but I've also had a lot of alligators go to it and not eat it. So I don't know if that's the paracord or not. You may want to go to a thick mono leader or steel braid, but that paracord is really, it stands out. I used to have this on just a string that I would hang and then tie to the boat, and it was very annoying. I would definitely put it on a rod and reel. It makes it a lot easier to handle, and that way you don't have as much rope out in the water. Now, when an alligator eats it, you don't want to put too much pressure on that alligator. You'll pull it right out of the alligator's mouth. The whole point of that wooden peg is to turn sideways so it won't go past its orifice in its throat. So once you get that alligator on the line, just start reeling up. You'll scare the alligator, let it swim, have your drag set real low, and just use your reel motor or trolling motor and follow that alligator so you can get on top of it. Once you're on top of it, you can use all the other methods of you can bang stick it right away, but I would recommend getting a harpoon in it first or getting a snag hook in it. You can also use your bow, that'll work too. You just want to get a main line onto it. So that way if you bang stick it and it comes out, you don't have a dead alligator just floating around. They don't really float, they sink. There's other tactics, but I'm not really going to go over them because I've never used them and I just don't know too much about them. With the bang stick, it is a great tool for dispatching these alligators. You don't have to get close to them. You don't have to worry about shooting a gun and hitting the boat or anything. It works very good. Now you can bang stick the alligator as soon as you want or as late as you want. I say that as in I've snagged hook an alligator, got it to the boat, and I've been able to bang stick it within a few minutes. But I've also had to fight an alligator for almost an hour and then bang stick it. So whenever you get that opportunity where you feel comfortable about it, bang stick it. Another thing is just try to have two lines in it. One time I had a alligator on a snag hook and went to bang stick it, and when I bang sticked it, the treble hook came out. I was able to re-snag it and bring it back up, but just make sure you have a harpoon line or a bow and arrow in it, so that way it is in there and it's not coming out. So when you use that bang stick, you use it on that half moon on the cylindrical part right behind there, and you aim it towards that half moon. That way you're getting the spinal column and hopefully the brain, and that way you're dispatching it humanely. Once you're done, you just reach in there with a knife, cut side to side, separate the spine, and then use a nail or something to scramble the brains to make sure it's 100% dead. So once you do that, tape the mouth shut. You can use a gaff to get the jaw up and turn the alligator around if need be. The first time I went to reach down for an alligator, I didn't want to grab it. It's really sketchy. But after a while, you get the hang of knowing if the alligator's dead or not. Getting the alligator in the boat is a completely different story. If it's a big alligator, it is very tough to get in the boat. First thing you want to do is get the head as far up in the boat as you can, and then I use my knee to push down on the snout to get that head in as far as I can. Grab a leg, twist it in the boat, and just keep grabbing the legs and getting it in the boat. It just takes time, and it takes more than one person. Once you get in the boat, you got to go to that tail, cut a little slit in it that's 6 inches or within 6 inches of the tip of the tail, and slide your sighties tag through it, bend it around, clip it in, make sure that it's tightened, make sure that it's good. So by then you have a legal alligator. You can either continue on hunting and getting your other alligator, or you can relax and call it a night. Once that happens though, once you get back to the boat dock, you want to get that alligator on ice. You want to start cooling it down. It takes a while to cool these alligators down. They're big and thick. And I use about 8 to 10 bags of ice. I put it in the bed of my truck with a tarp, put the alligator on the tarp, put ice all over it, and then wrap the tarp over the alligator, and that helps insulate it fairly well. It'll keep for a whole summer day and night, for a whole 24-hour period. But the next morning I'll have to add ice if I haven't arranged plans to sell it or to process it myself. Now you can clean it yourself. That's perfectly fine if you like cleaning animals. I know I do. Others, I would not recommend it. It is a full project. Very time consuming, especially for one person if you don't have any help. You got to know what you're doing, be confident in your skills, and have a sharp knife, and be able to sharpen that knife multiple times while cutting this alligator up. One is a very heavy animal, and two, you got to really be clean with it. If anybody's interested in that, just comment down below and let me know, because I'll do a completely separate video on that. It is fun, I like it, but as I said, it is not for a lot of people. Now if you go to sell it, you want to make sure that you get your harpoon dart or your arrow tip out of the alligator. I've dealt with 2 different dealers where I've sold my alligators, and both of them said they would get the harpoon tip out for me along with my arrow tip, and I got 0 of them back. None of them got back to me. So if you go to sell it, just make sure you take it out yourself and don't depend on them to get it back to you. Same with your heads. Follow up with them. Make sure that they give you back your heads, because I was a little lenient on one and they never got the head back to me. You gotta stay on them, keep reminding them, and try to get it back as quick as you can. Another thing is when you go to get your gator back, I've had one person not give me my meat back. They just gave me 1-pound bags of frozen alligator meat, where it most likely wasn't my alligator meat. So do your research and try to do better on that. If I want my meat, then I'm going to process it myself. I'm no longer going to have someone process it for me. I've tanned my hides. I've processed the whole thing. The only thing I haven't done is mess with the heads yet. I have a few heads in the freezer, so if you guys want a video on that, I will most likely do a video on how I clean the skulls and see how it turns out. But in the end, alligator season can be very complex, but after you go through it once or twice and you have all the gear for it, it just becomes an obsession. I do it every year. I'm lucky enough to get a tag every year, which is amazing, and it's just one of those things I look to year round. So with that, that is the end of this guide video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So I created JTgatoring just to really get quality information out there that is also entertaining and useful. I want to create a community with the outdoorsman, with you in mind. I want you to be able to go on my site, search a keyword, and be able to find what you're looking for. And if you don't, and if you can't find it, let me know and I'll make a video on it. I want to go more towards product reviews and just useful information. Every now and then I'll put up a a cool video that doesn't have to do with a guide or a product review, but I just want to get useful information out there that's easy to find and easy to comprehend. So to help support me through that, please use my affiliate links for Amazon. All of it will stay in JTgatoring and continue JTgatoring, whether it be more products or more camera gear or to help benefit the site. You can also buy t-shirts and clothing that's in the shop, or you can help the whole channel by just subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing it with friends on Facebook or Instagram, just getting JTgatoring out there. The more people I have following, the more people I have on my email list. It gives me more power to go to certain companies and other YouTube channels to help collaborate, get more products, get better products, maybe get deals and discounts for my subscribers. Just wanted to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday at JTgatoring.